Hi, it's Lipstick Elle. Thanks so much for watching today. I'm playing with some new Pat McGrath holiday products. Okay. I've never waited this long for products that were shipped within the US. Okay, it's been more than 3 weeks from launch day until they arrived at my house. They arrived on the 20th. I'm recording this the same day, and I was at that point of like, where is the Pat McGrath? And I had my phone out and I was like going through checking and tracking, and it didn't even ship until like 2.5 weeks in. Like I placed the order on launch day. And it didn't ship until 2.5 weeks later. Now I know I'm not the only customer the brand has, but I have never waited this long for things to arrive in my home that weren't being shipped internationally. And so that was just kind of like, wait, what? And it just sat in the warehouse. Now, here's the other thing that really was interesting. There have been times previous that I have made a purchase and there were two options for shipping. There was like the free shipping that they do, which is the standard, you get it when you get it. And then they always have expedited shipping. This time there wasn't even an option for expedited shipping. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're not doing that anymore. I just did not expect it to literally crawl here slower than a snail. Okay, I'm gonna stop complaining and I'm gonna show you what I picked up. This right here is the Divine Blush Bronze and Glow Trio. This is in the shade Forever Nude. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna pick this up because there are two blushes in the larger palette and I already have this bronzer shade here, but here's where I told myself, you know what? You love that bronzer. I'm obsessed with the bronzer and it's in my favorite shade, Honey Nude. And I think Honey Nude is only available on Pat's website. So it's in this trio here. And I don't have one of her Skin Fetish highlights in a shade that's light enough to look like a highlight without it looking like maybe like a glowy blush. So this one here, I feel is gonna work for my fair skin. The other thing I picked up is one of these 5 pans. This is the Bijoux Brilliance eyeshadow palette in Bronze Ecstasy. I couldn't really decide. And I thought, what am I most likely to use after like holiday is over? And there were some really pretty shades like pinks and ones that had like different green shades. This one here, it was like, this is the one because she does look a little boring Betty, but like those sparkly shades, those bronze shades, yes, yes, yes. And then I did get the lighter of the two Mothership Bijoux Brilliance palettes. All right. So here's what she looks like. I'm sure you've already seen other people playing with this, but I am super excited. Officially, this is the Mothership Bijoux Brilliance Starstruck Splendor. What's great about this is that there are 2 shades of blush in here that I don't have. So I have 3 new shades of blush. That means that I now have 5 shades of Pat McGrath blush. And I love Pat McGrath blush. Part of me wants to dip into this. We'll swatch this today, but I think the best thing to do is to like jump right into this. I'm gonna start with this shade right here. This one's called Forever Nude. It's a really pretty matte. I don't want too much on the brush because I always know that Pat McGrath is pigmented. But this is kind of like a kind of mauve leaning nude. Every time I say mauve, that's what I grew up saying. I know it's officially mauve. I just can't. Just like some people say apricots or pecans or pecans. I'm just like mauve. And I know that's terrible, but that's in my mind, it's mauve. And I don't know that at almost 50, I'm ever gonna make it something other than mauve. All right, but I do really like this shade. I have, for a long time, kind of been very shy of Pat McGrath eyeshadows. Like, they're stunning. They're stunning, they're beautiful. I love the way they look, but here's where I tell you honestly, I am super intimidated by them. And I think a lot of that just comes from the fact that I'm not a pro makeup artist and these are sparkly brilliance and they're fantastic, but I'm always worried I'm gonna do something wrong. It's definitely outside my comfort zone. So I was trying to think about things that would, first of all, I would continue to use and then that would be closer to my comfort zone. I'm gonna take that same color on a smaller brush and just kind of run it right here underneath the eye. I would love to know if you picked up any of the holiday palettes. And here's what's funny. Had I known that Sephora was going to carry this palette, I would have waited. Had I known that you can get some of these at other places, I feel like some of these are exclusive to Pat's website. I don't know that I've seen this anywhere else. And I don't even know if they're selling these at Ulta since Pat McGrath is now at Ulta. I don't know, I haven't really looked, but my local Ulta doesn't have anything like this, that's for sure. I'm gonna pick this shade up here. This is Mythic Majesty. It's another matte, but it's definitely a deeper shade. I'm gonna hit this right out here in the outside corner. I think this is the darkest matte shade. I don't know if it's this one or the brown, the warmer brown in this palette. But I think the reason that I was really gravitating towards this one, first of all, the blush shades both look like something I would be likely to reach for. And inside the scope of what would not be like turn me into a clown on my cheeks. On top of that, I felt like the eyeshadows in the other Mothership palette from the Bijoux Brilliance line were definitely a little bit more on the edge of being a little bit darker, a little bit more dramatic. And I was like, okay, we're gonna grab one, but let's grab one that's pushes us, but not so far that I'll never use it again. Because even though these holiday palettes are not as expensive as one of the Mothership palettes, those almost $130 palettes, I have two of those, and I really like the idea, and I love the color, and I love the textures, and I love the mattes, but sometimes I just be honest, maybe I'm too basic for Pat McGrath. Maybe I'm too basic for Pat McGrath, but I felt like this year, since we didn't have like reds and blues and purples and greens, like it wasn't all jewel tones, maybe there are greens in here, but like some of the ones from the past, they have been so bright and so like over the top that I'm just like, I'm not that person. I wear bright color on the lips, I wear bright jewel tones for clothing, but on my eyes, come on. What are you asking me to do? I don't know how to do this. I'm also gonna go in for this brown here. This one's called Serene Sienna. I feel like maybe just a little bit more depth on the outside corner here. Yeah, might be fun because I'm gonna layer some sparkle over this. I don't need it to be like perfect, but I definitely feel like between that more burgundy and the brown, I want just a little bit more depth out here. I cannot wait to get bronzer, blush, and highlight on because I feel like the more I continue to pile on the eye makeup, the more my unmade up face looks corpse-like. So hello, Casper the Ghost here. Look at these. Like this minty green here is so pretty, and this kind of lavendery duochrome is calling me. But they're all so beautiful. Even this really rich bronze shade here, they are absolutely gorgeous. Okay, this isn't making it easy on me. I think I'm gonna start with this shade in the middle. This one's called Fawn Fantasia. I'm just gonna pick it up with my finger. Wait, let me give myself my best opportunity to have this turn out right. I'm gonna use a little bit of the Artistry wand on the eyes. Instead of just swiping it on the eye, I'm gonna put some on a finger, and then I'm gonna place this where I think it might be most helpful. All right, so a little bit of that Fawn Fantasia. I'm gonna start with, oh wow, this right here in the middle, and I'm gonna lightly tap it, not all the way to the inside, I guess kind of maybe, but definitely all the way to the outside edge here. Oh, that's a stunning shade. I'm also picking up a little bit of this mint shade, and I kind of want to just tap this right over the center of the eye. I don't want to take it all the way to the inside or the outside corner. Maybe I should have just gone in with the green. I almost can't help myself with this slightly metallic-y duochrome shade. I'm going to tap it on the inside of the lid and kind of in the inner corner. I'm also taking a little bit of that duochrome and kind of hitting like the bottom lash line, just kind of like the inner third of the bottom lash line, because I do want to take that bronzy shade and just kind of like go over the entire area. But I do want some of that kind of duochrome sparkle to get mixed in. I'm going to throw on some liner and mascara, and then it's time for some color on the face. Here are the blushes I'm thinking about. This one here is Coral Cosmos. The one in the center is Nymphette. And this one over here is Naked Peony. I feel like these first and third ones are kind of similar in color, maybe there's a little bit more kind of a cool tone to this one. I'm probably gonna skip that one just for that reason. I already have a full size of this exact shade. It's called Nude Honey. And I'm just gonna take my rougher 22 brush here and just give myself, like, it's time to bring some life to the face. I'm feeling a little, a little ghostly. I'm not always a huge fan of face palettes, but I kind of like this one because you get, you know, one of each. Sometimes palettes that'll have like 6 shades of blush. I know it can kind of be like pick your mood, but sometimes it feels a little overwhelming to me. Just like I don't always prefer a really large eyeshadow palette. I feel like here, you know, 1 blush, 1 bronzer, 1 highlight. I think that's gonna do really good for me today. I already look 1000% more alive. Oh, I needed that. I'm gonna go into this kind of slightly rosier tone here. It's not quite as bright. It's called Nymphette. This is from the larger palette. I'm gonna make sure I don't have too much on my brush. Being as fair as I am, I can very quickly and very easily get into clown territory. So I feel like using kind of like a really fluffy brush helps. And then on top of that, a formula that can impart color but is buildable. And that's what I've always liked about Pat McGrath blushes. I feel like they're just enough and not too much. I'm gonna dip into a little bit of Naked Peony here. I don't want a lot, maybe just like a little bit right here towards the front. The highlight shade in here is called Opal Allure. I have a little bit of that on a brush and I'm just gonna, ooh, wow. Did you see that? I've always loved the highlights from Pat McGrath. Like when I see them swatch, I'm like, oh, that looks so pretty. But the only one that I have, I feel, is like a little bit too, I think it's called Golden Nectar. It's a little bit too deep for my skin tone. So I end up using it kind of like a blush topper or more in a blush area and less in a highlight area. But this is beautiful. All right. I absolutely love this. If you're curious, I put on the Lisa Eldridge Painterly. I'm using the Pat McGrath pencil in Black Coffee, and I have on the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara. I did also put on, just because I can't stop using it, a little bit of the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Glide Pencil in Gold Renaissance in my upper waterline, and then as I blink it always transfers to the bottom. So that's kind of what I've got going on, kind of a little bit smokier than I normally do, a little bit more kohl rimmed, if you will. Here's what I'll tell you. I feel like the eye look got away from me just a little bit, especially the minute I decided to put like that green like right here. I feel like I have sparkle a little higher than I would want it, but I feel like it was just a kidney candy store. Like, and this, and this, and that, and I want this. And then it kind of got away from me, but it's really pretty. Let's do some swatching. So from the Starstruck Splendor palette, the Mothership palette, this shade here is Opalescent Moonstone, Dawn Divinity, Eternal Bronze, Forever Nude, Fawn Fantasia, Serene Sienna, Celestial Celadon, Mythic Majesty, and Emerald Eclipse. So I really feel like the Celadon shade here is really calling me. I also am so excited about this Opalescent Moonstone. I feel like the sparkles in here are pretty, but they feel texturally a little bit different. They feel, and maybe I'm wrong, let me grab a Mothership palette, hang on. So I'm just gonna pull out the most recent purchase for me, and I feel like the mattes in here are swatching just, yeah, just a little bit more pigmented. And it's just with like a 1, 2, 3 swirl in each pan. And that's what I did in the Bijoux Brilliance. And I feel like it does okay, but I feel like the original Mothership palettes give you instant pigment. Now I know there aren't any Astral Blitz shades in here. And let me just see, I kind of feel like, man, even the metallic shades in these Mothership palettes are just a little butterier. They have a really soft feeling to them. Now, I'm not an authority on Pat McGrath eyeshadows because I only have 2 Motherships. I feel like although I was able to get some, you know, beautiful color, and I do like this eye look, I feel like the textures are just a little drier, and I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but that there's a little bit more texture showing up on my more mature eye. I picked up the Utopian Dream this summer. It's one I've been thinking about for like 2 years. It's been living in my mind palace and I was like, I want it. And so when I got it at 40% off, I was really impressed with the textures in there. And I feel like texturally, this Mothership palette is very different from this Mothership palette. I already swatched the blushes for you, but I have not swatched the bronzer or the highlight. This is what they look like. So this is Honey Nude and this is Opal Allure. Boy, that opal shade is just so pretty. I feel like the bronzer feels like the full size that I have in the black packaging. I feel like it applied the same. I used the same brush with it, whether it's, you know, in this palette or whether it's in its own individual black compact. The one thing I will tell you is with the bigger brush, I feel like maybe I need to downsize the brush I choose because there's not as much space in between here and I don't want to be picking up blush or highlight. If I'm going into the blush, I don't want bronzer and highlight on either side of a large brush. So I might downsize my brush choice. I'll do another video later using just this palette, but I thought it might be fun to swatch it now. Ooh, these feel different. Am I crazy? These feel a little bit different than what I'm getting out of the giant Mothership palette. Look how pretty these are. I feel like these were a little bit, I don't know, the other ones felt drier. These did not feel dry. These metallic shades have the same feel that I get from the Utopian Dream. So this shade right here is called Starlit Champagne. This is Merlot Mystique. This is Honey Nectar. Here is Twilight Taupe. And this last one here is Enchanted Bronze. But look how gorgeous. Oh my goodness. They look so beautiful. I can't wait to dip into this. Cannot wait. Part of me just feels like, can I, if nothing else, get some of this like little Starlit Champagne shade? Like maybe, like I need another layer of anything on my eye, but I'm just like, more sparkle, more sparkle. I think this is where it's at for me. I'm not saying that I'm not going to use the eyeshadows in here. I know I will. But I really feel like just the feel of them, they feel so different. Why is that? I feel like this is going to get a lot of use. I love having like all of my options decided for me. But I feel like the shade of blush in Ninfet that I put on first, I feel like that one's going to get used a lot. But I don't have a ton of like really bright kind of pink leaning shades like this one here in Naked Peony. I really feel like this shade and the really bright coral shade in the larger palette. Boy, I'm struggling to get this open. I feel like this shade here and the other one in here are the sorts of shades that I normally don't gravitate towards. I'm a little bit more in line with this. And this is, you know, kind of fulfilling all of my needs and wants for blush, but the brighter the shades, maybe I just need to start trying it. Just a quick note on packaging. I really do like kind of like this pink and blue thing going on, you know, with like the sapphire and the you know, detail of the ribbon and the pearls. It's really pretty. I like the docked corners. I feel like though, the difference between this packaging here and this one here, they all close with magnetic closure. They all have a mirror. I like that. I really feel like this one here is easier to open because there's a little bit of an overhang right here where the lid comes down, like the top of it. So you can actually just run your thumb up and like just like catch it and push it up. This one is a little bit less, but it can do the same thing. It's easier to open. And this one here, it's so flush. Like when I'm feeling it, I can't tell, you know, just by feeling where the opening is. So, and then I have to kind of stick my nails in there and pull it open. I'm also gonna say I'm not a huge fan of this ribbon detailing because sometimes I have noticed just in the course of today, it does this. And that would really be a frustration for me. I also feel like the black ribbon, although it does go really well with like the black background that they have all the products on, it's gonna get sparkle on it, it's gonna get makeup on it, and then it's gonna look dirty. And I guess maybe better black than white or maybe pale pink or something. But I wish that they had a palette that didn't require ribbon detailing. I would like it much better. Even if it laid flat like this, that would not bother me. I think the reason they do this is so that, you know, you can sit it in front of you or hold it in front of you and it holds the whole lid up. I don't know that I needed that. I feel like this ribbon detailing is going to be more of a bother to me. But overall, I think the packaging is really beautiful. And this right here, I think this is the gem. Super excited about this. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know, did you make a purchase from Pat McGrath from this Bijoux holiday collection? If you did, what did you get? Is it working well for you? Has it arrived yet? If like, do I even say that? But I'll just put it out there. And then are you a regular holiday purchaser from the Pat McGrath holiday line, like from years past? I haven't bought anything that was like technically a holiday release since 2017 when she launched the original first 3 Motherships. I got one of the palettes and I haven't bought anything during the holiday season since then. And I don't even know if they were just like a regular makeup release or if they were kind of considered holiday. It's been so long, I don't remember. But I've never gotten any of the palettes that have this limited edition packaging. This is the first time for me. And I'm just like super stoked with this little guy. I cannot wait to play with this. Let me know what your experience is with Pat. Are you a holiday Pat McGrath like lover? What are your favorite things? And are you planning or have you already picked anything up? Thank you so much for watching today. Have an incredible day and I will see you again soon.